So here we have another relationship described in words. So this soccer team wants to order tracksuits. It costs $40 to set up team logos. Okay, so I guess to be able to embroider team logos onto the tracksuits, you have to pay $40 to set up the machines. And then you got to pay $50 for every tracksuit that you order. So what are the dependent and independent variables? So the dependent is our y variable, the independent is our x. So what depends on what? Does a tracksuit depend, the number of tracksuits? First of all, make sure you know the quantities, where we have cost being connected to the number of tracksuits. That's our relationship. So which one of those is our dependent? Does a tracksuit depend on how much it costs, or the cost depends on how many tracksuits we order? So in this case, our dependent is going to be the cost. Okay, and that's our y variable. So the independent must be the number of tracksuits. That's the number of tracksuits. And that's going to be our x. Okay, so what's the equation here? The cost is going to be equal. So what's involved in the cost here? So we have our initial fixed cost, $40, plus we're going to go up by $50 per tracksuit. So $50 per tracksuit. Now notice that this is a rate. Okay, and we're going to do $50 per tracksuit times the number of tracksuits. Okay, so there's my rate. I have a rate that describes that. That's probably going to give me an idea of my angle or slope. I have a starting point of $40, so that's going to give me my fixed point. So I'm going to write this with an xy equation as well. So this is going to be 40 plus 50 times x. Okay, so then we can make our table of values, and we always in our table of values we need to put in our starting point. Okay, and you know, how many tracksuits would a soccer team need? Well, maybe this big team got maybe 30 people on this team, and 30 times 50 is going to be $1,500, so it's going to cost us $1,540, okay, or $1,540. So maybe I'll put in a few other numbers here, 20, 25. So 10 tracksuits will cost $500 plus 40, so $540. 20 tracksuits will cost us $1,000 plus the $40. 25 tracksuits will cost, looks like $1,250 plus the $40. Okay, so then drawing in our graph here, we have to choose a scale. So I'm gonna say that let's go up by 5. So let's go 10, 20, 30. Okay, I kind of want to stretch this out a bit more, but I'm going to use awkward numbers if I do that. So I'm just going to stick with 5. Going up by 5s. Okay, the cost will go up to $2,000 on our y-axis scale. And again, you can choose different scales, but make sure that it's appropriate. You're not going to get some really weird looking graph. Okay, so it's going to be $1,000 here. Okay, so 0 costs us, so this is going to be $200, so $40 is going to be way down there. 10 tracksuits is going to be $540, so $540 maybe somewhere around here. Okay, so that's going to be 400. That's 600. So it's going to be a little bit closer to 600. 20 tracksuits is going to be 1,040, so maybe right about there. Okay, and it looks like my points are starting to line up, is what I need, what I should be expecting. If they don't line up, then we should be double checking our work. 25 tracksuits is 1,290, so that's going to be close to 1,300, so somewhere around there. Okay, 30 tracksuits was 1540, so this is going to be 1400, 1600, so maybe somewhere around there. Okay. Okay, and again, notice that's all lining up in a straight line. Okay, the points really are arbitrary. We really want to get that straight line pattern. That's what we're looking for. Now, the thing that we want to start looking at is, where is this rate or proportion showing up? Well, we can show this proportion showing up here. Okay, so we have 10 tracksuits. It's going to increase our cost by $500. Okay, it goes from $540 to $1040. Okay, there's our proportion, and that proportion can be drawn as a small triangle or a big triangle, because remember it's proportional, meaning that we can use 10 to 500 to 10. We can use 50 to 1. Okay, it doesn't matter. And we can see that proportion showing up here on the table. And that proportion shows up on the outside of the table. So there's my plus $500. There's my plus 10 tracksuits. Okay, and we can see that same proportion showing up right there. And that proportion is going to show up on the outside of the table, not directly in the table. Okay, so there's some, when it does show up directly in the table, it's what we call direct variation. It's only when it goes through 0. Okay, but these ones are not going through 0. So they will not be able, you'll not be able to see the proportion in the table. We have to show the proportion as actually changes in the table. And that's actually a much better way to look at it and understand the proportion or the rate or the angle is showing up as changes in my graph.